talk about personality styles and the DISC system. The DISC system is made up of 4 personality styles. The first personality style is a D, dominant personality style. Does anybody know anybody like this? They're drivers, they're direct, they're decisive, they have a high ego. They basically have strength, they're problem solvers, they're risk takers, they're self-starters. Anybody know anybody like this?
Who wants to work for one?
Okay.
I'm listening to one right now.
I is for the influencing. They're inspired, they're enthusiastic, they're trusting, they're optimistic, they're persuasive, they're talkative, they're impulsive, they're emotional. The stable person is steady and good listener and a team player and possessive and steady, predictable, steady again, double steady. Predictable, friendly, and understanding. They're real steady. Understand. And the compliant person is correct and accurate and analytical and conscientious and precise. Now you've seen where we're going with this? Right? These are the people, these are personality traits. Everybody has a positive and a negative trait. Anybody want to take a shot at what they think they are? Who's the dominant personality in this room? Anybody?
Absolutely.
Anybody on this side? Dominant over here? What do you think your sub is? Your second personality.
Influencing. If I'm dominant, I'm influencing.
So you're dominant, but you like to be funny and tell jokes and be stand-up. Now, which one are you? You an ID or you a DI?
I'm a DI.
You sure? Think about it.
I think you're going to tell me differently.
Well, we'll go into it. We'll figure it out. So write down in a piece of paper in front of you, just put down what you think you are. And then let's revisit this in about 10 minutes as we go through this exercise to determine who you are and what kind of personality you believe you are. Everybody loves to think they're leaders and dominant personalities. I guess it's in. It's really not. The greatest personality is the one that I consider to be I. They're funny. They're telling stories. They're having a good time. That's a great place to be. You know? Now, who do you think is the gatekeeper? Compliant. Correct, accurate, analytical? How about stable, steady, good listener, team player, possessive, predictable?
I still think it's
Still say C.
Who's the secretary and who's the... Now remember, you got an SC. The real personality of the gatekeeper is the SC personality. It's not just made up of the S, because they have to have the both. They're managing a process. Who's handling a bookkeeper? Who's a bookkeeper? That's an easy one.
S.
No, BC.
C.
Analytical. Handling the money, handling spreadsheets and balance sheets. But these are basically personality styles. Now we're going to go into it a little further. The dominant driver. What value does that person bring to the team? The person who's the D personality. They're a bottom line organizer. And now you have to understand, the reason we're doing this is because when you start to see who you're presenting to, and you could identify what they want, and we're going to take it to the next step, I'm going to show you how you need to present to these people to sell them. In this case, the value to the team is they're a bottom line organizer. They place high value on time. Places high value on time. I don't speak Spanish, but that sounds Spanish to me. Places high value on time. Challenges the status quo, and they're innovative. Very innovative. Okay? The dominant driver's weakness. Remember, they got weaknesses, and if we hit their weaknesses, we're going to fail. Is they overstep authority, they're argumentative. They dislike routine, and they attempt too much at once. They try to balance everything. Greatest fear is being taken advantage of. Okay? So as you're presenting this to somebody, if you think that the fear is being taken advantage of, how would you handle it? How would you deal with a dominant personality that you're trying to present? And in your guys' world, that's what you're dealing with. Because you're dealing with people who are affluent, and affluent people seem to have a tendency, in most cases, to have dominant personalities. So how would you, if they're afraid of being taken advantage of, you have to make sure that your proposal and your delivery is very secure and non-risk-taking. And this is how we're going to do it. With a D-type, this is what you do. You be brief, direct, and to the point. They do not want stories. They don't want to hear jokes. They want bottom line. What's in it for me? How can you help me? Let's get it going. They want to ask what and not how questions. They're going to focus on business. They want results. They're going to suggest ways to achieve results. They're going to tell you how to do your business. So you're going to sit back and you're going to either roll it off your shoulders like you were in martial arts and say, hey, that's a great idea, even though you're saying in the back of your mind, this guy doesn't have a clue. Don't let him see your cards. I'm saying, you've got a great idea, because this dominant soul must give his opinion. Must. Going to be in charge and he must be in charge and solve problems. Highlight logical benefits of features and ideas and agree with facts and ideas, not the person. They want it about what you're delivering, not who you are or what you're dealing with. So when we going in and trying to explain, I've been successful in being at U.S. Gas and Electric or this place, they couldn't care less. What they want to see is how I'm going to make them successful and how quick I can deliver that to them. So if we're trying to be rock stars, we're trying to be out there flaunting who we are, the D personality will deflate it. They'll battle it, and you'll lose on this basis, but you can roll them. Agree with facts and ideas, not the person. Discuss problems in the light of how they will hamper accomplishments when they exist. So now you're discussing with them not what you're going to do for them, but what will happen if you don't do it for them. This is going back to what we said before. I'm going to build that image. So I could say to you, you don't have to use me. You don't need to be able to have this beautiful, exotic look. You don't need to be standing out amongst the most beautiful design in the neighborhood. You don't need any of that. Yes, they do. Their personality demands it. This is what Jason was saying before.
Is that the same as rolling them, you mean, by changing the direction?
That's taking it away, absolutely. Because what they're going to do is they're going to tell you what they want. You're going to tell them, you don't need that. You don't need to have the best. They're going to say to you, yes, I do. I need to have the best. Don't tell me what I need to have. So you must identify their weaknesses. They're afraid of being taken advantage of, remember? So you want to let them ask you for your business. And you can do that by presenting your solution for the D personality appropriately. Let's talk about how not to do it. Do not ramble, which means you better come prepared, because you got one time to put your point across. Do not repeat yourself. They heard you the first time. Just because they didn't approve it or acknowledge it doesn't mean they don't know what you said. Do not focus on problems. Focus on results. Focus on the fact that you're going to fix things for them, not what's broken today. Because if you're telling them what's broken today, obviously they did something wrong. And people in dominant personalities, which are close to being narcissistic personalities, never do anything wrong. Never do anything wrong. And we've worked for many of them. And some are still working for me. But that's a different story again. Don't be too sociable. Don't tell stories. Don't tell jokes. We're always tempted to bring down the tension by doing that. Deadly. Deadly. Does not work. Don't make generalizations. Because I have a cousin, he's very wealthy. And when you try to tell him about anything, he'll say, where's the data? Where's the proof? And he blows it up right there, because you don't have data and proof in front of you, unless you're lucky enough to be prepared and say, well, I was reading an article on December 13th of 2011, and it said, and I have the bibliography for you, and who does this? But he's that kind of personality, and his personality is he blows you up right now because he says, prove it to me, because I don't want you talking to me unless you have proof. He's a true D personality. Unless you understand exactly, don't generalize with me. I don't want to hear your generalizations. And when you're selling them something, don't generalize. Give them pure results, bottom line results. And then don't make statements without supporting documentation or supporting information. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
We've all dealt with dominant people before?
Yes.
In the business of selling C-levels, you're going to deal with mostly dominant personalities. So if your product is focusing towards that type of environment, master this, understand this, and deliver this. Understand what makes them afraid of what you're delivering, and understand what they need to hear you. Otherwise, you'll fail almost every time. Now, the influencing guy, he's an inspiring soul. Basically, the value to the team, they're creative problem solvers. They're great encouragers, very motivated. They motivate others. They have positive sense of humor. They negotiate conflict because they're always agreeing with everybody. Hey, I understand, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault either. It wasn't your fault. It's not your fault. They go back and forth because that's what they do. Their objective is to make you like them. Okay? They negotiate conflicts. They don't always negotiate conflicts the best way they should be negotiated. But they do negotiate conflicts because nobody wants to have that kind of altercation. So they finally say, okay, it's fine. And they're good at making things nice. They're not good at solving things, but they're good at making things mellower. Okay? They're peacemakers. Now, the weaknesses are they're more concerned with popularity than results. This is what I'm saying. Hey, it wasn't your fault. And it wasn't your fault. And this goes on, and then you walk away. Has the problem been solved? Absolutely not. It's been squelched for the time being. That's what they do. They have an inattentive to detail. Do not have them do proposals for you, because they'll leave things out all the time. Okay? Overuse gestures and facial expressions, and they tend to listen only when it's convenient. That's the influenced personality. The greatest fear? Rejection. That's why they're trying to fix everything. They don't want rejection. They want it all smooth. How to communicate with the I-type personality. You build a friendly environment. You give opportunities to verbalize about ideas. You share testimonials from others. You allow for social and stimulating ideas. They love stories. They love jokes. They love stories. Anything but not focusing on what we're talking about. Let's just have a good time. And it's a good personality to have for a public speaker. It's not a good personality to have for a salesperson who's trying to close. I had this gentleman who worked for me. Well, I went into a company, software company, who was doing about $300,000. And he was the sales manager. So I sat down with him and I said, how many sales, Charlie, have you done this month? And he sat back in his chair and he put his hands behind his head and he said, 4. He was proud. And I said, what are you doing with the rest of your time? He didn't like me, but I became his manager. And what I turned him into was a consultant, because he was fabulous at telling stories. He was fabulous at making people entertained. But what he wouldn't do was close a deal. He couldn't close a deal. But he was a great storyteller. So we shift his skill sets around, like on any baseball team or football team. You take the talent, you put it in the right position. And he became an exceptional consultant, because that's what he was able to do. Converse, deliver information. He sometimes wasted a lot of time, but because
when you're dealing with 2 personalities, a husband and a wife together.
Well, you know, I used to do presentations with a room of 30 people. And you had the CFO, CEO, the COO, you had all kinds of different personalities. What you have to do is you have to meld them into a decision and ask them grouply, what are you looking for? I used to fly in or deal, before I did a presentation, I would fly in and speak to somebody who was going to be at the presentation but wasn't a real decision maker. And I would say, let's talk about your business. Let's talk, and he would give me all these ideas and he would give me all the buzzwords, and I would go into the presentation the next day and I'd know everything. So what you do is you break them up before you do your presentation. You have a meeting with the woman or you have a meeting with the husband, and you find out on a soft sell exactly what they're looking for. So you take that information, you build your presentation, and then you go back the next time using the information they gave you to do your presentation. If you're going in for the first presentation with 2 personalities, you're going to dance, and it's going to be very difficult. So what you need to do is make it a 2-step proposal. One is initiate the information gathering. I want to sit down with you, and then I want to come back, present to your husband. And that's what you need to do. When you present to the husband, the wife's already told you everything. The husband doesn't know this, and you're rocking and rolling at all the things that makes him want to purchase what you have. So it's a matter of planning and presenting first a fact-finding mission, and then deliver the presentation. Too many times we go in strictly, and right away we're presenting. We haven't done our homework. And we find out why we're in this direction and they want us in this direction. Plan, prep, and prepare, and then deliver a presentation.
What if your back's against the wall and you kind of have to, you're forced to deal with both personalities at the same time? Because a lot of times we go into the sale, we initially start pitching, let's say the husband, anybody that calls me starts pitching me, and then I'm into it, but then I say, hold on, I've got to pitch the boss, and then I bring my wife into the picture.
Well, if you're identifying 2 personalities right in front, and especially in design, when color, or buying a car, the woman makes the determination on the color of the car all the time, but the husband is sitting there saying, I want this engine, and how much are we paying for it? What you want to do is basically just let them tell you what they're looking for.
Got it.
Let them give you, instead of you becoming that peddler again, look, I'm only here to help you. Let's share some information. I have my expertise. I don't know if I can help you or not. Take it away, lower their defenses, because that's the biggest key to people buying or not buying. They have this kind of fear of making a buying decision and making a wrong buying decision. So what you want to do is take away that fear by saying, listen, our meeting today is not to sell you anything. It's to give you enough good information so you can make an intelligent decision. Maybe not with me, but I'm going to give you enough good information so you can make some good choices. And that's what you want to do. So what you've done is you deflated that defensiveness of the husband and wife being there beating on you from both sides, because you're not there to get beaten on. You're there just to help them make a decision. And you make that very clear. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. Thank you.
Where are we at here? Okay, build a friendly environment. This is the I personality. Give opportunity to verbalize about ideas. Share testimonials from others relating. They love to hear stories from other people who've used your products. Allow for social and stimulating ideas. Submit details in writing, but don't dwell, because they're not going to read it. And develop participative relationships. Create incentives for following through. It's all about keeping them motivated and happy and moving them on. The result is not the answer to dealing with these people. It's keeping them happy. They will make a decision to go with you based on the fact that they like you more than they like your product. The D-level person, the dominant, is never going to do that. He can hate your guts, but if he likes what you're delivering, the results, he'll do business with you. So it's a different personality, and understand how you're delivering for that person. Do not, with the I type, the inspired individual, eliminate social time. He needs it. Take him out for a drink. You're not going to do that with a D-level guy, but take him out. Hey, how about we go out and get a drink and go watch a baseball game or whatever it is. Build that relationship on extracurricular time. They need it. Do all the talking. Do not do all the talking. They want to do the talking. So if you're going to debate with them, how many people sit there and somebody tells you a joke and halfway through the joke you're already thinking of a joke you want to tell them? Right? You ever see that happen before? Don't do that. Let him experience his happiness. Let him be the hero of the joke telling for that day. You don't need to. And do not tell, and this is tough for me, dirty jokes.
No.
Even if he's telling dirty jokes, do not exchange your own dirty joke. That loses your leverage in any presentation, and you're in a position where all of a sudden you showed stripes you should have never shown. You can't get it back anymore. So let them tell their dirty jokes, laugh, it's funny, 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 and just let him have a good time, let him entertain you. He needs it, and he's going to walk away saying, hey, you're a great guy, I want to do business with you, and you didn't have to say a thing. All you were a pair of ears for him. But you satisfied his need, his personality trait. Do not tell them what to do, because they know what they want to do. They're not sure how to get there, but they're going to tell you a story about it. People who are in engineering, people who are in design, love schematics and blueprints and design. Do you like that? Do you like stories? Because you're a designer. You create a lot of schematic blueprints. Do you like...
Story in what sense?
If somebody tells you, you sit down with somebody, he's telling you jokes, he's giving you
I
stories.
like to laugh, yeah.
You do like that.
Yeah.
And that's comfort for you.
Not necessarily, no, because I sometimes feel like perhaps, let's get to the point.
Because you have that dominant personality also. How about you, Carl? You're in design.
I don't like stories.
You don't like stories?
You don't like telling stories?
You're looking for the bottom line?
I'm straight to the point.
Are you more sales?
I adapt with certain people. I have clients of all different types, but if it were up to me the whole time, then yeah.
So you're more sales than design, though, right?
Well, all of the design is done on the back end.
So you're more the salesperson right now.
Yeah.
Well, Vincenzo is the design. So he's a building the blueprint type of guy. So it's a different personality. But your sub-personality...
But these guys, they come in and I mean, you're not solely selling cotton, you actually go in and giving the advice of what they need, right?
Yeah, I mean, our goal, at our company, we educate, it's kind of like you said, we educate them and then we give them a design based on what they decide. I take clients to basketball games, to dinners, I hear tons of stories. It's not like I don't do it, I'm just saying
Well, you're the consummate sales guy.
my ideal situation is not.
The difference, though, I think on your side, Vincenzo, is you're a true designer.
Yeah.
So, and he's the sales guy. It's like a very good match here.
Well, yeah, I'd like to employ him, but he's already got a job.
There you go. Well, everybody's got a price. Everybody's got a price. Let's go with the C level, the compliant and the correct. Value to the team. Their perspective They really sort of level you. They give you an idea of what things are right, balancing back and forth. They're the anchor of reality, conscientious and even-tempered, thorough in all activities, defines the situation, gathers and criticizes and tests information. My wife's been working 30 years for Carnegie Minolta in a management role. This is who she is. She's as steady on the other side, but as compliant on this side as possible. She's a true SC or CS on what she does. I told her, why don't you come work for me and sell? She says, I won't sell nothing. I don't want to sell. I don't want to get involved. Her personality won't allow it. She has no I in her, and she's got no D in her. Well, I'm not going to talk about that. That's,
Hey,
I know. Keep it clean.
not exchanging dirty jokes
Keep
here.
it clean. I don't do that. I'm being filmed. Come back at it. But conscientious, even-tempered, and she's thorough in all activities. But her weakness of the compliant is it needs clear, cut boundaries for actions and relationships. It's got to be between the lines. Can't go outside the lines. And this is what makes somebody such a good gatekeeper. Because when you call them up and you're speaking to them, they're saying, nope, he's not here. Now, how would you satisfy somebody like that to get through a gatekeeper? How do you get through a gatekeeper? Anybody have any ideas?
Ask for accounting.
It's for accounting. Circumvent. How do you do that?
Bring them flowers, candy.
Well, you're heading in that direction because
Build a
they're-
relationship.
But how would you build a relationship?
Sympathizing.
Or pat him on the back? All day long, all they're doing is saying, nope, can't speak to him. Nope, can't do this. Nope, can't do that. They're locked in a box, and all they want from you is to say, hey, you're doing a great job. You know, you're doing a fabulous job. I've never been stopped at the gate any better than you did. You know what she said? And it sounds so ridiculous, but she's going to say, thank you. You know, let me see if John's available. I'll let you talk to him. And that's only because you appealed to what she needed, and you'll see that in a second. Her greatest fear is criticism. Don't fight with them. Come on, I called you already. Why don't you let me through? Never happened. The key is, all right, I appreciate it. You're doing a great job for your boss. Don't let me through. But he should really know what kind of great job you're doing. All right, let me let you talk to him. Yeah, it's very funny how it works because you satisfy that personality trait and you will get a lot more business. How to communicate with that C-type. You prepare your case in advance. You define pros and cons. Remember, they live in a box. Support with accurate data. Reassure. No surprises will occur. I'm not looking to hurt you. I'm just looking to say a good thing about you. Submit exact description with precise explanation of how it all fits into the big picture. They need to see it. It's that box. They're in that box. They have to see the box. You take them out the box, they start to get a little squirrely and they can't deal with it. So they have to be inside the box. Review recommendations with them in a systematic fashion. When they say, nope, John's not in, well, what time is John going to be available? I understand that he doesn't want to see a lot of people or speak to a lot of people. And I got to tell you, you're doing a fabulous job of keeping those people out, but I'm not looking to sell John anything. You know. And by the way, would you mind if I told them what kind of great job you're doing? It sounds simple. It is. Because she needs that. And she's going to get through and send that through. Sometimes when you tell somebody that you're not letting me through is worse than you letting me through, they start to think about that. And that's the data. You know, I've got some information that John needs to hear about. You know, and he will appreciate that you let me speak to him. You're saying, whoa, that's ridiculous. They're not going to they do let you through. Try it. Play with it a little bit. Be nice to that C personality. They will let you through. Be specific when agreeing. Disagree with facts rather than the person. You're not getting into a fighting match with the person on the other end of the phone. She's doing her job. You don't get angry at her. Reward her. Say good things. Like bring up the flowers. When you come back up, after yelling 2 or 3 times at each other, you're saying, hey, look, you're doing a fantastic job. I don't want to speak to John, but I think you deserve this, and walk away. And then call her again the next day. You know? Or in 2 days. People need, and I hate the term, but it's true. People need to be manipulated. And you need to manipulate them as a salesperson by moving them on the direction that makes them feel comfortable. Because then they will say yes. Be patient, persistent while providing explanations. Do not refuse to explain issues to the C-level individual. Do not answer questions vaguely or casually. Don't take them for granted. They need to be appreciated. And our last is the stable, steady individual. Value to the team. They're reliable and dependable. They're loyal team workers. They're compliant towards authority. They're good listeners. They're patient, empathetic, and reconcile conflicts. They are the true right arm of every C-level, every D-level, or every C-level person. That's their right arm secretary. That's the one they can rely on to do all the right things when that dominant personality is screwing everything up. Because these people make it happen. This is the strength behind organizations.
I said Linda.
But this is the strength. These are the people who make people in authority look good.
Remember Linda?
Possible weaknesses. They resist change. They take a long time to adjust. They usually stay at jobs longer than anybody else, that S personality. They take a long time to adjust to change. They hold a grudge. They're sensitive to criticism, and they're difficult in establishing priorities. They do a lot of everything, and they want to do a lot of everything. Their greatest fear, loss of security. They will not relinquish their jobs. They will not give anybody else any idea of what they're doing. They will just stay there and do their job. And they usually, as I said, they last longer than anybody else. So how do you communicate with that S-type? You do create a favorable environment, personal and agreeable. You express genuine interest in them as a person. Again, you're doing a fabulous job. You provide them with classification for tasks and answers to how questions. I really have something that John would like to see. He would really appreciate it if you let me speak with him. You're not selling her, you're selling the concept that it means most to John to allow it to be delivered to John. It's not you against her. It's what you're delivering, the data, yeah.
Because as John's right hand, she's going to want to do right by John.
She's going to protect him and want to do right by him. So she's going to say to you, okay, if it's going to help John or something, I made the decision and I'll let you speak to him.
Right.
And that's how you get through. And that's one of the main keys of breaking through gatekeepers. You know, in today's day and age, you have gatekeepers, you have voicemail, you have all ways in the world that nobody wants to talk to you and do business. So you have to get sharp, and you have to really learn the skills and the tricks to break through these obstacles. And it's not hard if you just take a look at what we're doing here and analyze it and say, you know, this makes sense. If I can identify the individual I'm about to talk to and try to find out what makes him tick, I can actually get through and make more sales. It works. Be patient in drawing out their goals. Present in non-threatening manner. Clear, defined goals, procedures, and roles. Assure follow-up support. I'm there for you. I'm not just coming to sell. I'm going to make you look good. I'm going to make John feel good. It's a secure opportunity to work with me. That's what she needs to hear. Explain how actions will minimize risks and enhance courage. Sometimes I get ahead of myself, but that's okay. Do not be pushy. Do not overly be aggressive or demanding, and do not be too confrontational with that personality. Any questions about personality types? This is powerful stuff, guys. If you could learn to use this, it will increase your sales exponentially. Because this is where we get to present exactly the way our prospects want to hear it. Exactly the way they're looking to hear it. Not the way we want to tell it, but the way they need to hear it to say, yes, I want to do business with you.